get this pop-up on your screen that this meeting is being live streamed, just press on got it and don't leave the meet. And yes, so we are good to go. So first, let me introduce yourself to our guest today. So Anirudh, he's a designer and has immense experience for 7.5 years, and he's right now a lead product designer at Rebel Foods at Cloud Kitchen, the first Indian unicorn in the field. So I mean, like his experience is so great, and today he'll be telling about the roadmap to the UX career. So I think we should not waste more time. Anirudh, upon you.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you so much. So hey guys, hi, welcome. Good evening. So let's just start with the shorter introduction about myself and how the complete session is going to happen. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do is just share a doc link. So what you can do by the time I explain any smaller concept or any keywords that you don't understand, you can definitely go ahead and put some questions onto it so that at the end of the session, I can just quickly share my screen and, answer all the questions. Make sure to have your name at the end of your question so that I can address with your name. And just in case we just miss out some question, I can come back to our other chatbot and we can reply over there, that also Discord network also. So hi, thank you so much for coming. I'm Anirudh Palaskar. As you know, I'm a lead product designer at Rebel Foods, which is India's first cloud kitchen unicorn. I take care of the complete B2C part, which is consumer facing products. For example, Eat Sure, all the products, all the application that the users actually use on their mobile phone is a consumer facing product. So that's what I do. I'm a self-taught designer. I'm a developer turned into a designer. So I used to be a full stack developer back in time, and I've helped myself grow as a UX designer eventually. And after 7.5 years of core design experience, my expertise lies into product design, system design, design system, end-to-end UX design, end-to-end solutioning, and eventually teaching is something that I'm more inclined towards. So that's why I keep on taking such sessions across the globe wherever I get a chance. This is some introduction about myself, which you can eventually go ahead and read on LinkedIn also. To sum up my entire journey, it has been 7.5 years of core design experience. I have designed more than 8 applications of Android iOS, but more specifically 8, for example, which has more than 5 million downloads. For example, Eat Sure app on iOS on app, it's trending in top 10 utility application. I have designed more than 20 websites as such, having more than 2 million active users. Going forward, this is something that I've recently done. I started, teaching all over the place, be it LinkedIn, be it ADP list. So started with, top 10 mentors across India to a point where in January I became a top 1% mentor globally on ADP list. I also take a lot of free session across the globe wherever people wants to connect and learn. So that's some of the workshop that I've recently taken out there. And this is the YouTube channel that I've recently launched because I get a lot of questions around UX design, which has grown from like 21,000 views in one single month. So that is all about me. Going forward to the session for the today. So like I said, I've shared the link. If you have any questions.
Anirudh, that link is private. I guess it's restricted. Can you change it to anyone with the link?
Sure. Just give me a moment. Thank you so much for pointing it out.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this link should not be connected like the Q&A one. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It has the Q&A also, so you can. It has all my social links also. If anybody wants to look into it, definitely go ahead. So yeah, let's get started with the domain or the topic for the day, which is user experience design. Over here, from past of my experience that I have been mentoring across the globe, the important thing that I got to learn as a mentor is that we don't have a clarity about the domain itself. Like what is the actual construct the domain is all about? What is the depth of the career that as a UX designer you want to learn? If you want to go and get started as your career from a fresher, how do we do that? What are the skills that I need to learn? What are the domains that I need to learn? If you go ahead and try to search on Google, you would see there's thousands of other skills that you want to learn. So over here, I have built up a complete roadmap that will talk about all the design skills as well as non-design skills. It will talk about all the UX skills, non-UX skills. It will talk about all the web skills that you want to know, the technical skills and everything. So what happens over here is that, so that once you have the understanding of the complete ecosystem of UX design, you can decide where you actually stand and what is the path you need to take as a UX designer. So what does this cover? It covers basically understanding the depth of the complete UX career. Like I said, UX, UI, and anything that is covered in user experience as a design option. It will help you understand what are the non-design skills which is actually required to become a great user experience designer in 2022. It will also help you kickstart your UX career because you will get a clarity about what is the path I need to take, because there are so many things. It's not just the end. If you're done with research, that is not the only thing that you do as a UX designer. There is so much to it, so that you never stop learning. Also, if you're already a UX designer, if you want to excel in your career or upgrade your career, you'll get to understand, okay, I'm stuck in my career at this very moment. So when I know the roadmap, maybe I can move on to the other part and try to learn these skills. Going forward, we'll definitely have one-on-one session for all the specific topics on whatever I'm explaining right now. So for now, just sit back and relax and try to see what is user experience design and what's the depth of the complete section. So let me quickly open a Miro board for you, where I'm going to start with very basic section.
Anirudh, sorry to interrupt again, but we can't edit we can just see that Google Doc, we can't actually edit it. It's just viewable. Like, yeah, do it, edit, or yeah, we can add
And
questions
that's
and
all. I'm
answers.
gonna give edit access. It's okay. I'm okay
Mhm.
with it. So, like the format is over here, just add your question and your name, and then you can press enter to add your another question, so that I can address the question with the name. So let's go ahead and talk about all the skills or the roadmap of a UX design as such. So the very first thing over here is that the master designer is something that I like to call, which I have bifurcated into a non-design skills and design skills. So let's talk about what are the non-design skills that you need to kickstart your design career. There are a few important skills, which is the soft skill: communication, presentation, collaboration, and UX writing. Communication, irrespective of any domain that you worked on, be you a developer, you are a designer, or you are salesperson, communication is very important to grow as an individual in any of the career. Presentation skills, like whatever you do as an individual, be it your UX designer field, once you are done with your solution, presentation and the storytelling is something that you should be very good at. And anything that you see on the board is easily acquirable. It's not something that we are born with. So let's just go ahead with that point in mind. Collaboration. So collaboration is all about, as a UX designer, you don't do your work individually. You collaborate with product managers, you collaborate with your stakeholders, with developers, with your product leads and your interns. So collaboration is a very huge key which you need to learn on. Via this Discord network, you can definitely connect to a lot of people, show some empathy, help them out, answer their question, reach out to other people, give them shout out, and try to collaborate and collaboratively learn going forward. UX writing is something that you don't want to go ahead in depth, but need to understand that UX copywriting is all about empathy. For example, if you're writing a message, something went wrong, rather than you can put it over there that your payment link is not working, why don't you refresh? Or your pin is incorrect, do you want to try again? Oops, something went wrong on our end, I would just fix it, just refresh the screen. So you need to be empathic in terms of copywriting also. Every team that you work, be it a product based company or a service based company, they're definitely going to have a marketing copywriter, but they do not have empathy towards user. They are in terms of brand building. So you need to go and explain that, why don't we make it very simple and let's think in terms of user. Right now, if the payment didn't fail, why do we say your payment is failed? Why can't we say something is wrong, let me fix it, you can refresh in few seconds, don't worry, we got your back, something like that. Going forward, there's something called marketing skills. So as a UX designer, if you're very good and you're doing very good in your career, you need to definitely market it out. I recently started with my LinkedIn marketing. I try to post everything on LinkedIn, share knowledge, which gives me some sort of visibility on the internet, via which I've been getting a lot of job offers in India and US also. That is what I'm doing recently. In social media marketing, you can definitely go on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and a lot of other network, Instagram, share your knowledge, share your work. To help with that, there is something called movement marketing. So movement marketing is all about whatever it is trending right now in India or US, on Facebook, on Twitter. You can go ahead and create some artwork around it. And while you're designing that artwork around it, you can definitely go and push it online, so that people can see this is already trending and you're doing something around it, which will give you some visibility as a designer. Having skill is a different thing, but showing in a polite way that I am very much skilled in some direction is a different thing. So definitely don't be ashamed, don't feel bad to market yourself. If there's anything that you achieve in your life, go ahead and put it on social media as a UX or a UI designer, share it across. If you are very much scared about it, you can find on free mentor everywhere. You can go ahead and show your work also, that hey, this is what I've built up, are you sure, can I show it online? Once you're confident, go ahead with it. So that is all you need to have as a non-design skill. There's a huge list, but this is the basic thing. If you know this thing, you can definitely go ahead and start your design career right now, even today. If you're bad at something you don't know, definitely we can share some session dedicated to any of the topic that you want. Now going forward, when we talk about design skills, Let's just focus the complete thing into what is the actual prerequisite to get started as a UX or UI designer. What is the digital ecosystem that you need to understand? What are the actual UX domain? What are the UI domain? So I'm going to bifurcate it in very smaller bucket. So let's go ahead and talk about the very first bucket, which is basics of design and tech. So once you talk about basics and designs and tech, what you need to understand is that there is something called design and visual principle. For example, if you're getting started with any of the languages, be it programming language or a verbal language, what do? We go ahead and learn the basics of it before we can actually start to speak, right? So that is why we need to make sure that we understand the basics of the complete visual design, which is nothing but emphasis, balance, contrast, repetition, movement, white space. You can Google out and just search for yourself what are visual principle. It will hardly take 15 minutes for you to understand the complete domain quickly. So going forward, if you have any questions around it, do post it into the chat board. I'll definitely reply, revert back to you on the Discord network also. Then once you're okay with the basics of the principles of visual design, you can go ahead and try to understand the elements of user interface. Now, what does elements of user interface means? Element of user interface talks about all the basic building blocks of a user interface, and that is easily categorized into four sections. The very first section is the input section. Input section is just the way you collect data from the user. It can be an input box, it can be a button, it can be radio button, it can be checkbox, it can be toggle. If you fill a form, there are so many ways to collect. There would be a checkbox to talk about your hobbies, there would be a drop down list to talk about your college, there would be a button where you can click, there would be a drop down, there can be a toggle button, there can be a simple input field where you can type your first name, last name. So input control is something. Second is navigational component. Navigational component is all about the efficient way where you move from one part to another of a software. For example, if I click over here, there is file, there is collaboration, there is help, there is Miro, there's other things. I can go in recent item. So it's all about navigation so that I can navigate from one point to another very quickly. So that is further for examples of navigations are search field. A lot of people don't want to go and search for everything via your app because the learning curve is going to be very huge while I'm trying to learn what your app is all about. So 80% of the users will open your app, directly click on search, try to search something and move back to that product page quickly. They don't want to spend any time. There are breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs is more like what is the actual link I am on? How do I go back from this link? Which is the next link? Pagination, pagination basically divides the complete section into multiple pages. So they can go into page 1, page 2, page 3, so that information overloading is halted. There are sliders, the carousel that we say, 1 slide, 2 slide, 3 slide. That's how it's all about. Then there's information component. Information component is all about, you tell the actual progress. So for example, if you open any tool, there's the timing going on over here, right? That 10% is completed, 20% is completed. All the tooltips that you show to the user, if you are uploading a file, you're downloading a file, there would be 20% completed, 30% completed, 40% completed. So that's the information component that we need to show to the users while they're interacting with our product. Similarly, the last component is a random containers, which will contain any information. For example, accordions. You might have seen accordions. If the data is completely hidden, if you click on plus, the accordion will open. That will have some other data. Once you click on minus, the accordion will close. So that is all about user interface and basic visual principle. Going forward, this is the most crucial part that you need to understand as a designer before even getting started or kicking start your career. If you're already a UX designer, you can take few steps back and try to understand this. Digital ecosystem, the way I have divided this into is, we have something called apps. In applications that you design, we have native app, we have cross-platform app, you have app languages. So native apps are basically all the apps that you're using right now. It can be an iOS app, it can be an Android app. Similarly, going forward, cross-platform applications are something that you design and develop for one specific platform that can be replicated for all the other platforms. So React Native and Flutter is an example of the UI library. So you don't have to literally design or develop for Android differently, iOS differently. You don't have to do it for Windows differently. You can develop it for one platform and that can be used across. It is used for huge cost savings in early stage startups. There are app languages and uses. You don't actually have to go and code. Once I just gave up on my development career, I never used coding to excel in my UX career. But having an understanding of that, Android is developed in Java and Kotlin. iOS is developed in Swift language and C Sharp. Having that understanding is okay. Reason being, if you're designing something and you're giving an experience to your developer might want to, the developer might be very lazy to complete the section. He might be like, yeah, this is not possible, I can't do it. So that would definitely disappoint you, that why can't you develop something that I've designed. So you can go back to Google and research that how do we do something like this in Android, how do we open prototype in Android. So you can definitely go ahead and try to search for that also, and then you can give to your developer, hey, see, I have searched on internet, there's a solution on Stack Overflow, why don't you go ahead and do this. So that will definitely help you defend your solution. Then there is something called websites. When you talk about a website, there are web different sizes and breakdowns, because a website can be in a mobile format, can be in tablet and iPad format, can be an HD, can be a 4K device also. So you need to understand web screens and web sizes. For example, the web screen and web sizes can be divided into smaller sections such as mobile, tablets, HD devices, just like I told you right now. There is something called cross-browser compatibility issue. Now, what does that really mean? I'm a designer, I'm not a developer. That's perfectly fine, that I'm here for. Cross-browser compatibility issue means if you're designing some element or UI for, say, for example, Firefox, and you don't know whether that same UI will be working on Chrome or not, Opera Mini or not, or Safari or not, because something that you're designing here is not necessary that will work across, because it's not an app, it's a website. And to access a website, we can use multiple mediums: Chrome, Firefox, Safari. We can also have Opera Mini. So we need to see that whether this will support or not. So one of the example is that when you actually try to give your asset, which is your images, to the developer, which can be an icon. So if you have a huge image, we don't give in PNG or JPEG format, because that will be a very huge in size. So what do? We go ahead and convert it into WebEP, which is something that Google provides as a compression image. So if I wasn't aware about the cross-browser compatibility, I would have given to the developer. So the issue with that image is that it only works on Google. It does not work on Safari. So I wasn't aware of that in my early stage. So that made me very difficult to go ahead and crack this thing. But right now it's supported. So it's is important to go ahead and try to understand this also. Going forward, web languages for web is just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are the main basic components. There's a lot of it, but if you're aware of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can defend here also. If you're say for example you're designing a button which on hovers changes the color, and your developer is like, this is not possible, you can definitely go ahead and try to explain him why is it possible by searching the solution on internet. Okay. Great. Any question that you have, guys, just put in that Google Doc. I'll answer each and everything. Then there is something called wearables. We all have a digital watch at our home. We have Alexa, we have Google Home. You don't need to study that. You just need to understand what are the different devices that people are using right now. So it can be some digital watches, it can be some home assistant, or it can be some any devices that comes. So right now we have completed talking about what is the actual design basic principles, UI elements, and what is the actual digital ecosystem. If you combine all these three topics, you are actually done with the basics of design and tech. That is all you need to go ahead to kickstart your design career right now, with all the non-design skills that I showed you, communication and collaboration being the top of it. So if you know these two single things, or amalgamation or combination of both things, you're good to kickstart your design career. But if you're already a UX designer and you know everything from this, what do I do? Well, there's enormous and never ending list to it. So going forward, there is something called UI skills. When you talk about user interface skills, I have bifurcated into very micro level, something like foundation skills. What do I have a foundation skill as a UI designer? There's typography, there's color, there's spacing, layout, grid, design system, component library. There is so much to learn. I've recently took a workshop on typography. People were not aware of the type scale. How do we actually calculate the typography from H1 to H2? How can I select the heading size? How can I select the paragraph size? So that is the level of thing that people need to understand while you're going forward to become a UI designer. Similarly, you also need to understand color. How do I select a primary color, secondary color? Whatever topic you want, we can definitely have another session on detailed one. Meanwhile, you can definitely go in and help yourself by Google and YouTube other videos also. Going forward, design system. Yes, design system is right now the hottest trend in UI design field. Just like UX, we have some other thing. Design system is the hottest one, because once you design some application, the screens might go from like 100 screens to 200 screens. And to manage the complete screen, you can't actually design every time from scratch. You need to have some design system where you can copy paste the screen quickly with one single click. and make sure that you have a consistent behavior across your application. That is why design system is the hottest trend right now. Please go ahead and do study. If you want another session, let Yash and me know. We will take that session in deep manner. Sorry. There's website design, just we decided. You need to understand the responsive design, responsive assets, and responsive screen breakdown. Now, responsive web design, we just talked about mobile, iPad, and that. Every time you get started with a mobile device, anything that you do, get start with a mobile device. If you're solving a problem statement, the first design that you need to do is mobile first approach. First, you will solve the design for mobile, and then you will go to the highest way. Responsive assets, definitely. If your mobile is having an icon of 40 pixel by 40 pixel, it can't be same on a larger desktop, right? It has to be a multiplier of 2x, 3x, 4x that will go increasing with the size that is increasing, right? So you need to take care of that also. Going forward, there is something called guidelines. So this is what I personally believe is an important section to study and go ahead with. Guidelines talks about, how you need to behave as a UX designer while you're designing something. There are some rules and regulations that you need to understand and follow. Accessibility is issue. There are like color blind people. There are people who can't read. There are people who can't understand the color difference. So there's so many accessibility issues around. Like the contrast ratio can't be more than 3:2, 1:2. For example, the font size can't be this large or that large. So everything is given on internet. You can definitely go ahead and learn. Material design, without this, I don't think so people actually start with your designing of your Android application. This is the base principle that Google has given. Similarly, for iOS app, we have human interface guidelines, and then we have responsive design guidelines also that is easily available on internet. Going forward, once you are okay and you understand the guidelines also, you're good to go to get started. So for now, you understood that to get started as a UX or UI designer, I have non-design skill, I have a design skill. In design skill, we saw that, basic principles is important, elements of UI principles is important, web technology and the ecosystem is important. And then once we are okay with it, we can kickstart our UI UX design career. And to kickstart your UX UI design career, these are the things that we talked about: foundation skills, website skills, and guideline skills. So that was all about the total UI thing. Going forward, we are discussing about the UX also. Just give me a moment. I think I have some messages flowchart. So going forward, let's just talk about the complete UX skill right now, which is the hottest trend in India right now, user experience design, where everybody wants to go ahead and, become a UX designer. So this list is very vast. Anything that you don't understand, you can put that into the comment, or any other topic that you would want to cover in details with actual hands-on, you can definitely go ahead and let me know. There's something called UX design, and the way I have bifurcated the complete UX design is, first, that would be some basic understanding of UX, which is user experience design overview. What is user experience design overview? You can definitely go ahead and start with customer experience, user experience. Now, customer experience basically is a larger bucket which talk about all the touch points that a user can go through. For example, if a user is going through a mobile application, that is the first touch point that user is getting communicated with. If a user is seeing your ad on a Google page or an actual paper, that is the first touch point a user is going through. If a user is seeing your Instagram page first time, that is the first touch point where user is introduced to your brand or your product. So customer experience talk about all the touch point, making sure that there's a overall consistency throughout the complete area, and there the tonality, the color, the brand icon, the brand language has to be same across. User experience, basically it's all about making sure that the design that you do is very less cognitive and easy to understand for the people that you're designing to, making sure that the technical or the task is done in such a simple manner that people don't have any learning curve and they can easily use your app and do your task. You can definitely imagine if you design something that is hard to use, people can't use it and they would go back to some other application. So that is why designing a proper and optimal user experience design for a consumer based product is very important. Now, once we talk about most common roles, what are the most common roles right now in India or US? What are those? So main buckets, you can see a lot of those, but the main buckets over here are user experience designer, who only does the complete UX thing, the research thing and the wireframing thing. There is UX UI designer. Definitely there's a lot of startups who want someone to cover each of it, like both of it. They want him to cover the UX also, deliverables, and the UI also. There are UX researcher who actually just research in terms of market and users. They would communicate and talk to a lot of users about it. They would have a lot of interviews. They would try to identify the problem statement or pain points of the user. They will make a report out of it and give you as a UI designer. Product designer, which is me right now, I'm a lead product designer. So from a product designer to senior product designer to lead product designer, you as a product designer, you not only take care of the UI UX, you also take care of the business. You sit with stakeholders to plan out something. You go ahead and try to, contribute to the roadmap, contribute to the planning of the product. Also make sure that you give and distribute your task among the other all the other junior peoples also. UX strategies, for example, if your product is trying to achieve 10 million user base in first 5 months and you're not able to do that, so what is the gap? So that gap analysis and the overall strategy would be proposed by a UX strategist. Copywriter, UX copywriter, we have just discussed that empathy is very important. A marketer or a brand copywriter cannot write copy for users because that will be very brand first and user first. It won't be a user first product writing. So that is what you need to understand. So once you're trying to get started as a user experience, you saw.
Anirudh, sorry again for can you like close the Google Doc because people are just spamming it. We can just use the Zoom chat.
Okay, I'm so
I mean,
sorry.
there are any questions, just
Mhm.
maybe make it restricted.
Sure, sure, sure. Definitely.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. I
Okay.
have got some questions like from the users they have sent to me. We can have it afterwards.
Sure, sure. We can do that in chatbot then
Also,
directly.
like many people are asking, like, will you share this doc with them afterwards?
This is a Miro board. I have uploaded it on a Gumroad. I'll share the link also. Don't worry.
Sure, sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so everyone will get the link, guys. Cool.
Right, right.
You can continue.
Definitely. So, like we saw, once you're getting started as a user experience design, you need to understand the what is UX, what is CX. You need to understand the common roles and generic deliverables. What are deliverables? For example, when you talk about any role or any person as an individual co-worker, we expect something from them, right? So, as a as a UX designer, people also expect something from us. What is that? Most common, we expect some research work that to be done, wireframing, user journey, user flow, information architecture, persona. There are a lot of it, but for example, I've kept it over here. In terms of research, you need to understand the market research, product research, user research, wireframing. It's all about sketching your actual solutioning, then converting into a low fidelity wireframe, high fidelity, and the larger fidelity, which can be given to the UI designer to convert that mockups into actual visual design. User journey, when we discuss about customer experience, we need to map all the user journey, all the possible way a user can communicate with your product and take that in consideration. User flows, it's a basically all the conditional flow. For example, user is visiting to home page. Is the user logged in? If user is logged in, he can go ahead. If not, he will go to sign up page. If the sign up is complete, user can go to login page and then visit the home page. So that is what the complete user flow is all about, where you define all the touch point. How would user enter to the screen and how would he exit from the screen? Information architecture, basically how do you segregate the total data of your website in a very beautiful format where user can access it very easily. There are two important points over here: the complete ongoing move forward thing and the total navigation structure. So your content should be easy to accessible to consume and the navigation should be used. So this is an example of information architecture. There are headings over here. If I click on something, cut is there because user use cut a lot. There's view page, there's help page. If you go on some other section, if you click over here, this is an example of information architecture. Everything is laid out so properly. There's a bottom navigation, there's a top navigation, there's another left right navigation. So everything is such in place. That's an example of a information architecture. Similarly, there is persona. Persona is basically a representation of a larger group that are facing same problem statement. As a UX designer, we need to go ahead and try to have a one-on-one interview with so many people, try to understand their problem statement and their issues. So while we interview for 100 people, we can't design a solution that will suit individually to the 100 people. We can't do that. We need to come up with one single solution that can cater all the needs. How do we do that? We make sure that the interview that we take, we just pick up some people and keep it in a bucket where we would say these are the people who are facing same issues, same problem statement, they have the same motivation. So I will group that people and say a persona number one. So a persona represent a larger set of audience which they are facing a same problem statement or same issue. Then once you're done with the deliverables, there is something called law of UX. So going forward, you definitely want to learn law of UX. The only difference between law and theory is that laws are proven. So you can definitely close your eyes and believe on the law while you're trying to do that. So let's go ahead about heuristic. So first one is the heuristic law. There's a beautiful website called lawofux.com. You can go to that website. Everything is explained with all the manners very decently. If someone can definitely put the link in the chat box, it's lawofux.com. Everything is explained in details. So let me explain few of it. When you talk about heuristic, there's something called aesthetic usability effect, Fitts law, Hicks law, Jacobi's law. There are so many jargons that you don't understand right now. There's principles also there, Gessort's law. There are so many principles, but let me explain you one example. How will you make the most of it? For example, aesthetic usability effect. You don't know what does it mean. So let me explain you. Aesthetic usability effect talks about there are two products. Product number one, which is aesthetically very appealing. It's very good looking. It is very nice. It's follow all the trends, but it is less functional, which means, that is not efficient in terms of performance, or it does not do the task of the user efficiently. There is a product B which does not look nice, it's not aesthetically appealing, but works perfectly fine. The functionality is very on point. So this law says that, as per the research, user will at any point choose a product which is aesthetically more appealing rather than more functional. Why? Because of the looks and the appearance at first. You say that first impression is the last impression. So that is what it comes over here. So aesthetic usability effect talks about any time at any given point, user will choose a product that is more aesthetically appealing. So that is why we can't just focus on the UX part also. We need to focus on the UI also. So the user interface has to follow all the trends and everything that is going around the internet right now. Going forward, there's the most important and the most famous law called Jacob's law. So Jacob's law, what does it say? That, if you're designing a product, you need to understand that if you're making a Tinder a like app, if you're making a application that is like an OTT platform, or you're making a car booking platform, all the users that you want to use your app are already using some other application because you are just building it. So you need to understand that people are already spending good amount of time on someone else's product than yours. So while you're designing the product, make sure that you follow everything that is done over there, so that once user comes, they find some relevance between this app and the existing market leaders, because a lot of people are using the market leaders. So they don't have an extra learning curve. They don't come to your product and then think, hey, how do I go from here to there? How do I click it? What is this? You don't have to make it complicated. That's what Jacob's law say. Don't reinvent the wheel in terms of UI. So you need to follow the same principle. That way you would see all the taxi booking app would have a map where to and from. You say Ola, you say Uber, you say Lyft. If you have a OTT platform, all the product would have an heading, all the content, heading, all the content, all the OTT platform looks like, be it Netflix, be it Amazon Prime, everything looks like this. That is because of the Jacob's law. So going forward, do visit law of UX and go ahead and read everything that you want to go ahead. Now, the next topic that we're going to talk about is design principles. Now, this is a very huge topic. We can definitely have another session on any specific topic over here, but design process is all about the way you solve a problem statement. The moment you got a problem statement from your stakeholders, from to the point where you give a solution of the complete problem statement, that is what the design process is all about. Now, what are the different types of design processes? There is human centered or user centered design approach, there's design thinking approach, there's double diamond, and many few. The way I like to use it, common design process, which is divided into 4 simple steps. Step number 1, understand the problem statement. You can do whatever the process that you want to understand the problem statement. Step number 2, doing some sort of research around it. That research can be product research, market research, user research. Step number 3, going ahead and try to do some solutioning around it, like coming up with some solution. Step number 4, to validate that solution. Step number 5, design or develop that solution. For example, if you're making a shirt for me, you need to understand what are my needs, what are my like and necessity. So you understood the problem statement that we need to design a shirt for Anirudh. Then you come ahead and do some research that, hey, what's your like, what's your dislike, what do you prefer? Done. You go ahead and design something for me. So rather than, if you come back, rather than showing it to me and directly uploading on website and telling me to buy it from there, that would be very difficult for me, right, to go ahead and purchase, because you haven't tested with me. For example, I order it and then I say that, oh, this does not fit my size, this is something that I don't like it, right? So that's why step number 4, validation, is important. Every time you design a solution, go ahead and validate that solution with the actual target audience, the people who are going to use your product. Going forward, there are two important other points over here, which is like you don't have to focus on a design process because design process depends on multiple factors. For example, what is the stage of your product? Is it in the starting phase, middle phase, or a development phase? Because if it's already developed, you need to design, you need to follow some other design processes. If it's in the starting process, you need to do something else. So never focus on design process. If people tell you what is your design process, don't just say it's UDC or user centered design approach. Just say it depends on scenario to scenario. It's a subjective question. What stage of the problem statement I am right now, that is what defines the process I will take going forward. Let's go ahead. Once you know the law of UX, you know the design process, there's something called UX documentation that you need to worry about. Now, UX documentation, just like any documentation, is simple. You can document anything and everything that you are doing in your day-to-day life. Your project brief, your problem-solving approach, your solutions, your user persona, your sketches, your usability reports, your stakeholders questionnaires, interview questionnaire, anything and everything that you do. For example, I use a product called Notion. So for anything that I do around my website or any solution that I'm doing, I do all the scripting in Notion and Google Docs. So I would write everything that this is a problem statement and this is what I'm trying to solve. And going forward, I would try to solve that problem statement, document each and every steps so that once I come back, I know everything is documented. I can easily make a case study out of it. So a lot of time things happen that, people do too many UX projects, but they don't make a portfolio out of it. So once they want to apply for company, then they run here and there. Hey, what do I do with this thing? How do I make my complete portfolio? That gives a very difficult, decreases your chances of getting selected into a company. So that's why document everything is just going to help you. No negative impact of that. Going forward, the largest and the most important part in your UX field is design research. So do have a lot of questions around design research into the comment box. I will answer all of it. Design research is the most important topic as a UX designer because even though you start as a UX designer or you're an advanced player, you need to know this topic. What is UX research? Because that is 90% of your job. Once you try to solve a problem statement, you can't do it without research. So in order to people who are already confused about UX research, let me tell you that the complete UX research is divided into two important buckets, the attitude and the behavior. The only thing that we want to know as a UX designer is try to understand the attitude of the people, like what are they actually feeling about my product. What do they say? Hey, I don't like this product, I don't like that product, that is so difficult to use. What do they actually say? Part one. Behavior of the users, how are they actually consuming your product? How am I using your product right now? That is the most important part. So there are only two important things that you need to understand. Every time you go ahead with some research, a user research, maybe you decide two important buckets, which is the attitude and behavior. To do that, we have multiple different methods, which is qualitative research, quantitative research, ethnographic research, and a lot more. So qualitative research is something that a lot of people use depending on the need. Qualitative research is all about, going and talking to limited amount of people one-on-one or focus group interviews. But quantitative research is when you want to reach to a larger audience. For example, surveys. You might have seen people go ahead and randomly put surveys saying that, hey, I'm doing my new case study. This is a survey for you. Why don't you just help me and, fill the survey for me? So that is what people do. When you talk about quantitative research, people want to go ahead and ask the surveys from the people. Qualitative research, which is more personalized, sit one-on-one with the users. Some of the methods are user interview, card sorting, empathy writing, user diaries, mood board focus. I know a lot of you don't know what is this, but definitely if you want any specific topic to be covered in depth, you can definitely ping Yash and into the blue group over there, Blue Learning. We'll definitely come back with that session. But this is just to give you an overview of the complete UX field. Then once you're done with that, there is something called ethnographic research also. What does ethnographic research means? To solve a problem statement, you need to actually visit the geographical location where the problem is happening. For example, you want to design something for farmers. You can't sit over here and design, right? You have to go to go to that person and live his life for a day or two or a week, and then try to understand what he or she is going through, and only then try to solve that problem statement, right? You can't sit over here and understand what is going out wrong with that farmers out over there, right? So that's why this is very important to go ahead and understand their problem statement in their own location. That is what ethnographic research is all about. And this is something that excites a lot of people because you get an opportunity to travel from point A to point B. I have seen companies who travel from India to US just to do the user research, because people out there might be biased in terms of opinion. So they would want someone else to come and cover that. The companies that I've worked, like Lollipop, people have traveled from like Mumbai to Gujarat to Ahmedabad to other states to Goa, and have stayed there for a week or two and then came back with some other solutions. So going forward, that was all about user research. Just focus on two important part. Whatever you do as a research method, the main outcome is just simple. Either you are trying to understand what people are thinking about my product, or you want to understand what people are behaving in my product. How are they actually using it? Going forward, there is something called market research and product research. So like I told you, research we can do around the users, around the products, or around the market, right? So product research, we have some methods called market research, benchmarking, competitive analysis, gap analysis, tech feasibility checkup. I know maximum of people would be like, ye kya hai, what is this, I don't know, but that is what it is. There's a lot of other methods also. I have narrowed down to some point, and I'll explain you one of it also. Say for example, competitive analysis. This is the most important keyword that a lot of people have heard. Competitive analysis is all about when you're searching for a market or you're searching for a product. When you try to solve a product, say in gaming domain or a say OTT platform domain or an entertainment domain, what do? We do the product research and the market research. We want to compare our product with all the other competitors that are present in market. So we'll go ahead and write all the products, all the companies name that they are solving the same problem statement, and all their pros, cons, their positives and their negatives, and then come up with the fact that, oh, these are the important things that these competitors are doing because they are very successful right now, and these are the issues that because of them they're coming down. So I don't want to repeat their same problems and same mistake. Let's just learn from the market leader. Benchmarking is all about when you want to benchmark yourself to a certain level. Okay, I see this company as my idol, so I'm setting a benchmarking for this company and I need to reach that company. So you will have a very close observation on everything that that company does. That's why we have business analysts, we have marketing people, we have sales people. So they would focus on that. Business development associates, which is BDA, will focus on their market strategies. There is BA, like business analyst. They will focus there and tell us that, this is what something they're launching. Why don't we go ahead in that way also? Then we will come to the UX designer and try to propose a solution around it. Going forward, once you are done with research, there is something called UX audit and validation. So when you talk about UX audit and validation, you actually, I told you, like step number 4 is to validate that solution. So to validate such a solution, you have usability study, eye tracking, heuristic evaluation, A/B testing, data analysis. This is also new for you, most of you guys I know. So usability study is all about you would actually design a product in wireframe or UI stage, go back to your target audience and tell them, hey, this is a product for you. I'm just testing the product, not you. I'm giving you 4 tasks. Just use this product and follow it. Maybe if it's an e-commerce task, I would go ahead and say, yes, why don't you try to buy some shoes right now for you? So yes, will open the app from screen number 1 to end to checkout page to payment page. And then I'll ask, yes, why don't you think out loud through your journey? Then you should be like, okay, I'm clicking on this product. Hey, what do I do next? Why is it not clicking? I don't understand. What's the price? What is the comparison? Where are the reviews? How do I select this product? So someone from the usability testing reviewer would note down all this point and issues that Yash is facing right now. And once we do same thing with 15 to 20 other our target audience, we will come up with the points saying that these are the existing issues and we have to solve it. Similarly, there is heuristic evaluation, which is we have 10 heuristics already, and we try to understand which are the heuristics that we are violating as a UX designer or a product. A/B testing, this is a perfect thing. If you have 2 solutions, you don't know which is the best, you do a comparison testing with the users. I will call Yash, I'll say, hey, this is the homepage. What do you think about it? We're like, okay, it's nice. This is a homepage. What do you think about it? He said, this is nice. So which one do you like more? And I will say, Yash would say point 1. So I would say, why? Reason, give me some reason. So you say, these are the issue in product B. These are the advantage of product A. So A/B testing is done on a larger level also, on an automation level, which like Swiggy, Zomato and every other big company does. And same can be done on an individual level also. Going forward, there is something called wireframing. We all know. We just need to, once you're trying to solutionize your complete product, once you come narrow down to a solution, brainstorming is something that we talk about. So once you're brainstorming, you need to do some random sketches around your solution. Don't start with the product already. Don't open Figma or any other tool because that has a lot of constraint of space, height, margin. So that will distract your problem solving skills. Go ahead and just randomly draw sketching your ideas. Once you are confident with some sketches, you can start with low fidelity, medium fidelity, or high fidelity. Similarly, once you're done with your high fidelity, you can create a prototype. So prototyping is also of 2 types, which is static and interactive. In static, there would be just flow, end-to-end flow from point A to point B to point C. In interactive prototype, there would be some sort of interaction, the motion animation or interaction can be done, which is also available in Figma. So going forward, this is the, again, one of the most important part, user experience measurement. As a UX designer, you are going ahead and solving problem. How do you measure that these problems are actually solving, and how do I understand that I'm making a solution which is helping a lot of people and worth solving for? So that's why we use something called user experience measurement, which is ROI, also return on investment. So to do that, we have something called UX KPI. KPIs are nothing, key performer indicators. If you have a product, what do I say? How, why your product is successful? You would say my performance KPI are people are downloading 10 million apps, 10 million downloads in one single month. People are using my application for more than 7 minutes or 8 minutes a day. So that are my key performance indicators. My key performance indicators can be a product. People are loving this product. They're buying it again and again. So that is how you measure the KPIs. There are again attitude of the users and behavior of the users. If you're saying your product is doing perfectly awesome, how do you measure that? You go back to the user and take their feedback. So there are some method to do in behavior also, like usability testing is one of that method. Time on task, search versus navigation. Then how many people use search directly rather than navigation? So if a lot of people are using search directly, you would want to make sure that your search navigation is improved a lot. Similarly, attitude, what does people say about you? NPS score, net promotion score, is something that we all have done once in our life, because every product that you use, somewhere or the other, you might have got a form which would say rate 1 to 10, how do you feel? You use any product, anything that you use as a booking service, be it a food domain or an Uber Ola app. At the end of the day, they ask you, how was your ride? How did you feel? What's your perspective? So 1 on 10. So that is NPS, the net promotion score. So we try to take feedback from the users. So that was the UX KPIs. Then there is something called heart framework. You don't have to worry about it right now. This is something given by Google directly. So you can definitely go ahead and Google it out and try to understand what it is. So heart framework just talk about more important 5 topics, which is happiness, how happy the user is with your product; engagement, how frequently user is using your application for 10 minutes, 15 minutes; adoption, at what rate users are coming to application. Adoption rate can be, for example, user acquisition. If I'm loving an application that is made by Yash, I would say, hey everybody, this is an awesome application, why don't you try? So people are coming to my application by word of mouth. So that is what is making my product a successful. So heart frameworks does that. Going forward, we have retention. So retention talks about how many people are coming versus how many people are staying. So if my application has 5,000 downloads and I just have 100 active users, so like 90% of the 99% of the users are just off, they are not staying on my application. So that is retention. Task completion is all about, if you want to download some books from my app, are you able to do that? If your task is to book an online Uber or a cab through my website, are you able to do that? If not, your task completion rate is very bad. If yes, definitely your task completion rate is very awesome blossom. Then going forward, the last section over here is the design tools. A lot of people might be aware of the design tools. To those who are not, let me give you an overall glance of it. We use Figma for UX UI and prototyping. We can use Sketch for UX UI and prototyping. We can use XD for same UX UI and interactive prototyping. Now the use of these products can depend on your benefits, whatever you like I stick to Figma only. I don't like other 2 products right now. I started with Photoshop, I moved on to Sketch. Now I'm using Figma for everything as a UX UI designer. So you can choose your tool. It's sometime company independent also. Like few of my friends are working, the tool that they use is XD, but I think Figma is the right tool to use right now. And don't be dependent on the tools can be changed, up to date also. Like tomorrow Figma can become nothing and a new tool can come in next 5 to 10 years. So make sure that you focus on all the skills that we have discussed. Similarly, Adobe exists on Zeppelin. So Zeppelin is basically the developer hands-on tool. You are done with your designing, you have done all the flow, you have tested, you have validated. How do you give to the developer that they can develop it? It's via Zeppelin. For example, if you see, there's a tool over here called Zeppelin. So it has an integration with Figma, XD, and all the other design tools. So you would just upload that screen to Zeppelin and share that link with your developers, and they are done. By clicking on that, they can see all the padding, margin, height, size. Same can be done in Figma also, but that is not scalable in terms of development purpose. There's a category called documentation. So we saw Notion and Google Docs is something that you can use to document your complete process when we are discussing about the documentation. So while you're talking about the project process also, every time I make an YouTube video, I make sure I have a multiple category: the name of the video, what is the script of the video, which is section it is right now. It's in scripting mode, now it's in shooting mode, now it's in uploading mode. So I do all the management on Notion and Google Docs. You definitely want to do it. Now Miro or FigJam. So Miro and FigJams are basically ideation, brainstorming, and collaboration tool. The tool that I'm using right now is a Miro board that has a lot of functionality in terms of doing information architecture, ideation, collaboration. You can definitely go ahead and start brainstorming in terms of some idea. There are like sticky notes. You can go ahead and start doing it quickly with your complete friend. There are thousands of templates available. If you can see over here, there are so many templates that you can directly get started. The thing that I'm using right now is Miro mind map. So I've designed a complete mind map of UX design. If you can see, it's huge and tremendous, so difficult to share in one single PDF also. So that was all about it. It's 7:52. I can definitely jump onto the question some. Yes, do you want to take that questions for me?
Sure. So there are many in the chat box too, but I saw this like how to come up with a good color palette for a particular audience, for example, fashion, technology, etc.
Mhm. Definitely. Basically, first of all, every time you design something, it is totally depend on the target audience or the end users. So while the product is for some specific users, you need to understand their mental model. What are the target audience? Is it very huge, very old, or it's very young generation? That would be one factor. Second, the tonality of your brand. What your brand is trying to communicate. Is it a very young brand or very old and primitive brand? For example, banking factors. Every color has their own psychology. Let's say, for example, banking sector, everybody, most of the banking factor, if you see, there's a royal blue or a blue color, because blue depicts the royalty trustworthy factor. So that is what every color has in psychology. So that would be a user, your brand identity, and the message that you want to communicate, and that's how you can do. There are multiple tools available on internet where you can definitely just have your primary color and put over there your primary color. They will auto generate the complete palette. And if you also want to explore some, you can definitely go to Pinterest and search for XYZ color pattern. So they will give everything. So you start with the actual mood board where you would want to, collect everything that you would want to do as a color palette and put it in a place and try to imagine how your product would look in that space.
Okay. So there's this question, does UX design need coding? I don't have a tech background.
It needs zero coding, no coding, definitely not coding. You don't need anything to code. You just need to have an understanding of digital ecosystem, which can be done even when you get started as a UX designer. So don't worry as a coding at all.
Okay. Also, like
Mhm.
what we do in normal sessions, people raise hand and we let them unmute and ask. So do you want
Mhm.
to do that?
I'm more than happy to do that. Let's do that.
Great. So everyone who have questions, you can raise hand. There's this option of raise hand in the bottom of Zoom. Maybe you can see it. So I'll go with Nikhil Patel.
Yeah.
Nikhil, can you unmute and ask your question? Akshadeep.
Hello everyone, good evening.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi. 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 Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my question is actually that right now I'm also working on a startup and I'm actually limited to Figma only. I so my question generally is should I learn more things or should I just do and like should I just increase my creativity just using Figma? Like
Mhm.
exploring more domains other than Figma. Should I do this or right now I should just stick to it?
Sticking to Figma would be more than enough for you. Like for next 5 to 10 years, definitely focus more on creative part of it. The way you can go do some more micro interaction, you can switch to After Effects for advanced micro interaction. You can do ProtoPie as a tool if you're okay going and creating some very high level fidelity models of your prototype. But in terms of the tool, Figma is more than enough. Definitely focus on enhancing all other skills.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ritik, Rakesh.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening and thank you a lot for this session. It's really amazing.
Thank you so much.
I actually wanted to know, like, I have been learning a few of the things related to this field. Like, I have learned about I've learned prototyping, and I'm learning about grid layouts, and and yeah, so I'll be going on to the design systems. I actually wanted to know, like, before. Is there like what is the bare minimum knowledge so we need to gain to apply for internships as things like that so that we can learn while doing while getting hands-on experience ourselves?
Definitely, that's a very beautiful question, Nitesh. To be very honest, that's awesome question. A simple answer to this is that first of all, it's subjective. It depends on company to company. But if you say as a group, as an individual, how do I tackle this question? What you can do is create an Excel sheet, go back to linkedin.com, search for UX internship. You can scroll back to the last layer where we have job requirement. You can definitely try to go ahead and copy paste all the keywords in your Excel sheet for company number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you have 5 companies. For a user interview or as an UX internship, they require 10 to 15 skills, right? You can put down all the skills that are you don't know in a red color, everything that you know in a green color. So over there, that will give you an confident, okay, there's so much I need to work on me right now rather than thinking about the job. And if you think 90% of it is green, then you're good to go already. Make your portfolio, go ahead and just start going and putting on and applying to other companies. Cool.
Okay. Thanks a lot for this session.
Awesome.
Ajinkya Pale. Yeah, there are like a lots of hands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. Good evening. Am I audible?
Yeah, Ajinkya, you're audible.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm pursuing my degree. I'm pursuing my engineering. So I'm a lot of confusion what I do. So thank you for this session. My only question is that I completed my degree after 2-3 months. So I completed a course for UX designer. So what should I do? I go for an internship, or should I go for a job? What should I choose first?
See that the same answer I just gave right now. You just need to be confident as a designer. If right now I'm a lead product designer, what do I apply for? Maybe just another lead product designer or a design head directly or a design manager. So that can only happen once I self-reflect myself in terms of the knowledge. So I also go ahead and try to search for design head and then note down all the skills that is required. If I know, I will definitely go ahead and directly apply for the design head position. If I don't know, I will work on it and then go ahead. So if you think you need some kind of exposure to get that confident, you can definitely go ahead and start with UI UX internship. But if you're done an actual graduation in UX UI field, I would directly recommend you to go ahead with a proper job. A starter job would be more than enough for you to get started with.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Prabhat Sharma.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, sir.
Hello. Hi, Prabhat.
Just a second, Prabhat, can you wait? Anirudh, I've been getting a lots of messages that they want this roadmap that you make. So, like, when can you share the link?
Actually, that is on sale on a website right now. So that is a paid version, but I can try to export a PDF out of it in a day or two. It has a lot of other things, so I'll definitely share in a day or two as a PDF or an image with them. So, for example,
Cool. What we can do is, guys, in the announcement channel, maybe whenever Anirudh send me the PDF, I'll post it in the announcement channel on our Discord. So, as I said, it's not possible now. And also, the recording is available on our YouTube video for this session. So, yeah, Prabhat, you can continue your question.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hello, Nidhu, sir. I am Prabhat from Delhi. So I want to know one thing that, as you've said, that takes, you can say, a lot of time. So I want to know that whenever search about UX designing, a lot of, you can say, expert, maybe on YouTube, people say that maybe it's going to dead after 10 to 20 years. Do you think it's going to be, you can say, slow down after 10 to 12 years, or maybe just, so you think it's going to take time to fade away, or just,
with the amount of experience that I have and people that I collaborate with across the globe, it is the bare minimum time to get started with user experience design. It's just going to be exponential in next 10 to 20 years. Like with the enhancement of the metaverse, it has opened so many jobs for user experience design, because no matter what you design in a virtual reality world, also the user experience is most important. I cannot guarantee about the UI jobs because there are so many automation tools which can do that for you. You can give the brief and the UI would come. But UX, the base of your UX is the empathy towards the user and trying to understand the problem statement. So that is not going anywhere. You can confidently pursue your UX career without any hesitation or so.
Okay, so my last question is that what do you think about, starting a career in a startup or in company, well-established company? What do you think is going to make you more, you can say, better?
In terms of work-life balance, definitely a well-established organization. In terms of growing your skill set to a next 10x level, startups. Because I already made a video on my YouTube channel where I explained the life of a UX design startup versus a well-established organization. In a smaller startup, what you need to do is that you get the roles and responsibility, a lot of it. Like you get to do all the UI part, UX part, you get to do presentation skills. So that, kickstart your design career to the next level, because that is the need of the hour to learn so many things. So you're actually learning by doing so many things, and that definitely makes you a good UX designer in good given amount of time. So definitely startups to kickstart with.
So one last question is that do you think it's maybe it requires some degree, maybe a master's in design, maybe quite some helpful if you can say quite new to this designing field? Do you think maybe a degree course might be get a better experience when he's going to start? Do you think it's helpful?
Definitely, I've answered that also in the most common questions on YouTube. So you don't require any design degree to get started or kickstart your design career. Definitely not. I don't have any design degree. I was an engineer. I'm an engineer turned into a designer. I have reached from an internship level to a design lead, and soon I'm going to States for my job. So definitely, it's not something that you would have to worry about it. So please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
BlueLearn team.
Yeah.
Sohan.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, firstly, thanks for the session, sir. So I'm currently pursuing my first year engineering, and I don't have any experience or prior knowledge about UI and UX. So if you are in the same situation, what would you start with?
I would start with a mentor first, because internet is such a field that you would want to learn so many things. You would be lost on internet if you want to learn something. There are so many links to it, which is the appropriate for you as a beginner, as an advanced level. You would be lost. You can definitely reach out to people on LinkedIn. I started my career by pinging people. How do we do that? How do we do this? Back in 2014. So reach out to someone who has already done this, ask them the way to do it, and then note down the complete roadmap. Like there's so many free mentoring websites over there. You can go and connect to someone, ping on LinkedIn, ping in our in our Discord network also. I would reply there also to all the people. So we can definitely do that, rather than going ahead and doing by yourself. You would be lost and demotivate yourself. But to give a heads up to all the people, you can do that thing, like make an Excel and keep a track of everything that you're learning in upcoming months, which once you look back after a week, there's something that you have significantly learned. Keep a track of it, everything that you know in terms of theory, in terms of practical experience, and keep a track of it definitely.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Ayush.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, Ayush.
My question is that is it better to do any course which uses pay after placement programs, like taking 15% of salary up to 2.5 lakh to 3 lakh until you got a job of up to 5 lakh, like Masai School or Newton School, Design Shift Academy, like.
It all comes down to the point where you're comfortable with it. To a person like me, I think it's subjective question. I'm more than happy to help myself by going and like striving hard to learn things rather than spend any penny on internet or any classes. But if you think you have confidence in that amount of time that okay, I can like pay off things after once I get a job through the institute. I have seen a couple of startup coming up where they will teach you UX for 3 to 4 months. They will get you placement first, and then. So if you're comfortable in that situation, please don't hesitate, go ahead. If you're not comfortable, which is someone like me, you can kickstart your design career by self-learning. Like the BlueLearn Discord channel is a huge part, right? You can post all your questions and everything. I'll start replying you quickly rather than you go here and there. But if you're comfortable, go ahead with it. No, it's a good thing to go ahead with that.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Saloni.
Okay. Hi, Anirudh. I had this question. I'm from a finance background. So is there a way we can incorporate design with finance when looking down the lane, rooting for MBA? So does MBA or master's plays a role when you are looking out for this PM roles? Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, definitely. The most of my experience come from a fintech background. Like I work for HDFC, Axis Bank, Kotak Mahindra, 3.5 years. So your question seems out to be a very genuine question. A lot of product managers in most of the company that worked at, they definitely want to learn more about user experience, because at the end of the day, product managers are actually the owner of the features and the product that we do in a company, be it any company, be it fintech or any other edtech company. So product managers should definitely go ahead and learn the UX UI principles, not the UI, but UX and the problem solving thing. How do we actually do the primary research, secondary research? How do we interact with the users? How do we make a complete roadmap of it? So as a product designer, as a product manager, if you have that skills, that is going to definitely differentiate yourself from rest of the product managers. Does that answer your question, Saloni?
Yeah. And also one doubt, I correct me if I'm wrong here. So when looking at the career prospect in finance or design, I mean, what would it be better? I know we can't compare two different things here.
Finance and design. What did you say? Can you elaborate that question?
Yeah, so I'm just looking out for an answer here. Career prospect and design on a longer run down the lane.
So I'm not clear with the question that you're trying to ask. You wanna was your design career in the longer run? That is what you want to ask?
Yeah. Will it give you stable career in the longer run? Just
right. We just discussed it few minutes ago. Definitely, it's just it's just getting started. The design career is also getting started right now. You see so many industries are booming out of it. And as per Google, 2025 is something where the actual boom would come in India. There are like more than 80% of the vacant job in US right now also. So there are so many opportunities in terms of UX designer. And with the emergence of the metaverse and everybody running out to the virtual reality, UX is definitely the next big thing right now. So this is a perfect time to kickstart your career in UX design and pursue it for next 20, 30 years, definitely.
okay, answers it. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
So Anirudh, like how much more time you have, or
I'm okay with it, like more 10-15 minutes are cool with me.
great. I guess there are like more 2-3 people. Should we take these questions?
Yeah, sure. Let's take next 5 questions that I see on,
Great. Varun.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, Varun, go ahead.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, like, what's the major difference, like, doing the design degree in India and in the US thing? Like, what's the major difference, or what's the like, what do the people do different in their apps or something? Is there any difference, or should we go for their universities, or how is their like design theme and all? Like, how do the people work, or what's the major difference? Yeah, go on.
Definitely. The first thing that you need to understand is, what are you looking for? Are you looking for education, or are you looking for a global vision? Like in terms of, more like a larger collaboration with the next global state with the persons. So if you're just looking forward in terms of education, India has a lot of other institutes that are very much awesome blossom in terms of it. IIT is there. There are so many institutes, SID. They are doing very great. A lot of other like larger people who are having so many years of experience are teaching out there. There are visiting mentors from our industry experts right now. So it's all going in terms of direction where the theoretical part is reducing down and the practical part is going over there. So if you want to choose one, I would definitely recommend India, which has a lot of other emotional and financial benefits also. But going broader, that's altogether a different learning about there. But while you're applied to other institutes out there, they would definitely require some sort of experience in terms of UX or in terms of some other background. And they would also take an interview in a direction where they would want to understand what is the value that you're bringing to my university. What is that one reason I should hire you or take you as a student for my university? So recently, one of my mentees been to London University. So the process was very tedious, but if you are more inclined towards this, there's a lot of other mental models that you need to build before getting selected over there, rather than thinking to go ahead. In terms of learning curve, it's totally same. The portion, you can compare it with IIT Bombay also, and in terms of any other institute, the portions remain the same. But the exposure that you get in terms of US and other countries is quite different than the India. So it's all on to you in terms of just getting a good job and salary. You can do it here also in India.
Yeah, like my major focus was like, what does the other people in the other countries get an upper hand on us? Like, what is the reason, or is there any reason first of all? So
see, 90% of the people would definitely go for the financial reason. Right now, the starting salary over here would be something between 7 to 9 to 12 on an average, which will go back to like 12 to 15 or 20 lakhs per annum. But once you go to UK, US, there are minimum wages that are provided to the people who are getting internship or a job, which is $35 to $40 minimum, turned down to 25 in other countries. So the salary over there in most of the companies starts from $55,000 to $1,010, so which is more like 50 to 60 lakhs per annum. Although there are so many tax implications that people don't know about. There are like some states like Berlin in Germany has 45% tax. In Arizona, Phoenix, there's 22% tax. In California, you would earn 100 rupees, will take away 20 rupees on your home. So there are so many tax implementation that you need to understand. Okay, so once you are trying to do that, definitely do a huge research on, and there are so many restrictions in terms of H1B visa also. If you go ahead and apply for student visa, converting into H1 visa is also another pain. You come back to India to put all this time. So it's a very tedious process. So that's why have a clear vision what you want in life. That study that you want or the money that you want to do, both can be achieved in India right now.
Yeah, thanks, man. And one more thing I wanted to ask is like, I think it's better to stay in India and do some work, because other countries are mostly like developed more than us, right? Like there is a development scope in India also, and like freeness we have to start anything is quite there in India. In other countries, you just can't start a startup after doing something, right? So it's better to do things in India only. Yeah, man, that's true.
Right. And also adding to that, your H1 visa, which goes on to US, does not allow you to do any other job. You can't do a side job, you can't do a part-time job. But it's very subjective. Like if there's a person who wants to go and work out there to get a global exposure, it's okay. If you're a person who wants to stick to your route, that is also perfectly fine.
Yep. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks.
Welcome.
Lakshita.
Hi, sir. Thank you for this amazing session. Actually, I'm really confused because I'm pursuing BTech in computer science. Everyone around me is in development, like they code each and every. But I also code. I can do front end part, but I like designing more. So whenever I start designing, some of my friend come and guide me that there's less opportunities for designers as compared to development. And also if we see the ratio, like one development need 3 to 4, one designer need 3 to 4 developer. Is it true like there's struggle in designer life and there are less opportunities for designer as compared to developers? Like I'm really confused that I'm in second year, so I should take decision now. Like it's hard. So I'm really confused. Should I continue with or should I continue with my development part?
Right. See, first of all, it's not about the opportunity that you have. Maybe there's like thousands of opportunity. There's not thousands of opportunities. The right question to ask over here is that are you inclined toward design, and that is something that you would want to pursue as a career. If you think I would just pursue because there's an opportunity, I'm not going to pursue because there's no opportunity, that does not make sense at a level where you want to pursue something out of your passion, right? And in terms of getting opportunity, I can definitely write on paper and say we have a huge opportunity in terms of UX UI. Let's just try to understand the cycle. Unless and until you give something to the developer, he's not going to develop. So before actual getting started with your development cycle also, you need a UX designer. And the way you said we need 3 designers, it's not that. We have 3 designers because someone is doing user research, someone is doing user testing, someone is doing UI research and the UI part. So that's why we have 3 designers doing 3 independent work. In startup, that would be 1 designer who is doing everything. In my early stage startup, I used to do everything, UI, UX, prototyping, and giving it to the developer. So think in that way. If there's 7 designers on 1 developer, the developer can't even start before getting the design, right? The cycle starts with you once you get the problem statement. And in each and every product-based company, the developer can't upload or go make sure that the product is live unless and until you get a sign off from the designer. Unless and until I go and validate my design that is done properly by the developer, he's not going to put live on a website. So you need to understand the authority of a UX designer on a product level. If you have developed something, I can quickly say it's not working right, just change it. Okay, so that is also something you can consider into it. Development, no doubt, it's a huge opportunity, but in terms of UX also, we have broader opportunities in India and US.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. So let's take that last question. Who's sick?
Like, should we take one more?
Sure. We have 2 questions.
Cool. Right? Hemant, Rajia, there are like 2 people.
Sure. Let's do that.
Hemant, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Like, how much time it would take to learn UI UX this thing?
Okay, cool. Right. That's a subjective question, depends on person to person. Like to become a good UX designer, 3 to 4 months is more than enough. Making sure that you spend good amount of time in learning progress, but making sure that there's a proper roadmap that you follow, not randomly pick up some topic or restart from some section. 4 months of dedicated efforts is more than enough. Even if you go ahead and see any classes that are available online, they take 16 to like 18 weeks, which is roughly 3 months or 4 months. So 4 months is more than enough to become a good UX designer. But to become a great UX designer or to become great at anything, it will eventually take years. For me to become such thing at now where I'm confident enough to take sessions for global audience and Indian audience also, it took me 7 years. Okay. But to become a good UX designer, it took me like 5 to 7 months where I've had dedicatedly work. So it's subjective, but if you decide a roadmap, you can come back saying that, after 3 months, I want to take an internship in UX job, then backward the complete process and make a roadmap out of it, and then try to stick to it like 5 hours a day to 5 hours a day, just like JE students and everybody else does. So 6 hours a day, so 6 hours a day.
I guess he can't unmute. So there's just one person. Like, should we take this question?
Sure. Let's do that. And
yeah, Aditya.
Yeah. Yes. Am I audible?
Yeah, Aditya, go ahead.
Anirudh, माझा असा क्वेश्चन आहे तर UX साठी स्टार्ट करायला एक्झॅक्ट स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट काय आहे एक्झॅक्ट
ओके
आणि UX एकदा स्टार्ट केलं लर्न करायला तर what should be our goal, where to reach, what is our immediate goal, like
sure इंग्लिश मध्ये उत्तर दिलं चालेल ना तुला?
चालेल.
Awesome. So the question that is trying to ask is, what is the starting point as a UX designer that I can do right now, and what would be my ultimate aim to achieve in a longer run? So the people who wants a larger shortcuts, because we grow in an industry where we don't expect a step-by-step process. So people who want a shortcut to user experience design, here it is. Step number 1, go ahead and try to understand all the basic principle. What is UI? What is visual principles? That's all. Go ahead and study that. I showed it in my roadmap also. Next thing, go ahead and try to understand the UX law. Once you know all the law from law of design, UX law websites over there, try to implement and inculcate that in your day-to-day life. For example, you studied something like Jacob's law, Miller's law, proximity law, or a Pareto law. Try to implement that in your day-to-day life for a few weeks at least. That will bring up your mental model in such a way where you're thinking, where you're looking to things in a very different manner. You are no longer looking at the traditional way. You're changing your mental model, and you start asking questions. Why is it like this? Why is it like that? So that behavior will come out eventually. So you go with basics of that. Third would be, you can stick to a specific course that can be free 90% of the time. I don't recommend anybody to spend on design. That can be free course by Google also. Stick to a design course. Point number 4 would be practice every single day. There's a website called collect.ui or any Pinterest reference website. Open Figma, one design every single day. Start by copy pasting, it's perfectly fine. So basics, law of UX, some course, and practice every single day. Point 5 can be, if you need, go ahead with some mentor who are available. Don't spend on that also, because people are available for free. They are voluntary teaching. It's time to give back to the community also. So that would be 4 simple steps for you. I hope that solves your question. Okay, he can't unmute.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Anirudh.
Welcome. Sure. So that was all about it, guys. Thank you so much for attending. I'm just handing over it to Yash. I hope you guys had fun right now.
Yeah, I mean, the session was so good. Also the roadmap, whenever Anirudh sends me, I'll post it in the announcement channel on Discord. And so please also join the Discord server. And I've put a event feedback form link to fill in that form. It will just take you a few seconds. There are just 2 questions. So it actually helps the BlueLearn team make better decisions for events. And I'm also sending social links of Anirudh, so you can connect with him later.
Sure. Thank you so much, Yash. Thank you so much,
again, Anirudh, thanks for taking this session. It was really great and so informative, and people liked it a lot, as I see.
So Yash, going forward, is there any specific topic that you would want to cover? May information architecture or research or rapid UX prototyping? People can come to Discord and bring that to Yash, and we can have a live session where we can actually develop or design. We can actually do that information architecture in FigJam or Miro. So I'm more than happy to do a practical workshop on any of the topic that you guys want. So feel back and come back to Yash and say we would want to do this. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like the session was so exhaustive. Like that, there are so many topics. As I said, we can do many more sessions related to a certain topic. In the feedback form too, also you can post like if you want anything. It's like anonymous. You don't have to tell your identity. If there's like topics coming some back and forth, we can take it. You can also ping me on Discord, and maybe Anirudh is also on Discord.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. Also, his LinkedIn, Instagram, I've